Comme on est plusieurs à parler, il va falloir toujours venir au micro.
Ben c'est ça, ceux qui parlent pas là, à l'arrière. Regarde.
Hello. Let's see if I can see this. I have my pen for right question.
Excuse me. Welcome. We're really excited to be here today to release a timely study on the work of Canadian small and medium-sized organizations that are working to make the world a better place. I'm joined here today by colleagues from across the country that are involved in international development, and I'd like to introduce them. The process for today is, my name's Janice Hamilton. I'm the Executive Director of the Manitoba Council for International Cooperation. Michelle Aslin, from Executive Director of the Aquacy, will be speaking in French. Then we will proceed in English with myself, and then Kimberly Gibbons from the Ontario Council for International Cooperation, Jennifer Sloot from the Atlantic Council, and Tracy Wallace from the Northern Council for Global Cooperation. So I'd like to start by telling you about a study that we've just completed, and it's something that we commissioned by Brian Tomlinson of Aid Watch Canada, and I'd like to say what organizations are profiled in this. So it's a study of 807 charities across Canada, and they were taken from the CRA database. And they are organizations that have spent at least 30% of their revenue that's devoted to overseas development. And of these charities, 75% were small organizations, 17 were medium-sized organizations, and 8 were large organizations. There were some organizations that were taken out of the database from 2014, which was just over 5,000 organizations, and those were ones that were faith-based, and so it was no way of discriminating which ones were doing it from an evangelical perspective and those that were development actors, and focusing on development results. As well, universities and colleges are also removed from the database. So what we've learned is that small and medium-sized organizations are more likely to devote more than 30% of their revenue to overseas activities. 93% of the small organizations and 64% of medium organizations, compared to just over 40% of large organizations in this smaller subset of charities. They are also more likely to raise significant resources for development cooperation from the Canadian public. They are also very keen and are able to reach Canadians from coast to coast to coast because they're rooted in communities around the country. And they get donations directly from Canadians. So I now like to pass it over to Michelle, who's going to present.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Michelle Asselin, je suis directrice de l'Association québécoise des organismes de coopération internationale, l'ACOSI. Alors, mes collègues et moi sommes vraiment très heureuses de présenter aujourd'hui cette étude de Brian Tomlinson qui porte sur les petites et moyennes organisations de la société civile qui interviennent en développement international. Alors, nous pouvons affirmer, grâce à cette étude, que nous sommes des actrices incontournables du développement, que ces organismes sont diversifiés et novateurs. Le premier ministre Justin Trudeau a tout récemment réaffirmé son ambition que le Canada contribue à la réalisation d'un monde meilleur. Cette ambition est partagée par des centaines d'organisations de tous les coins du pays qui s'efforcent depuis des années, sans relâche, à la concrétiser. Ces groupes constituent un exemple inspirant d'engagement de la population à la citoyenneté mondiale. On publie cette étude au moment même où le gouvernement entame une vaste consultation pour déterminer avec les Canadiennes et les Canadiens comment le Canada doit aider les pays les plus pauvres. Notre étude apporte de solides arguments en faveur d'un partenariat entre le gouvernement fédéral et les Canadiennes et les Canadiens au niveau local, partout dans le pays. On doit se rendre compte que depuis les 5 dernières années, de nombreuses petites et moyennes organisations ont été marginalisées par la mise en œuvre de nouvelles politiques des priorités du Canada en matière d'aide au développement. Ce rapport présente la nécessité de mieux reconnaître leur travail et de mieux le financer. Pour faire ce portrait, nous avons observé 807 organismes de bienfaisance qui se retrouvent dans la base de données de Revenu Canada et 30% des revenus de ces 807 organisations sont dévoués à des dépenses à l'étranger. C'est important de souligner que toutes les petites et moyennes organisations qui œuvrent en développement international n'ont pas nécessairement un numéro de charité, un numéro de bienfaisance, mais on peut extrapoler à partir de notre étude que c'est le reflet d'une réalité partagée. 75% des organismes parmi ces 807 organismes sont des petites organisations. 17 étaient des organisations de taille moyenne et 8% de grandes organisations. Les grandes tendances qui se dégagent, les petites et moyennes organisations sont plus susceptibles de consacrer plus de 30% de leurs revenus au financement d'activités étrangères. Donc, ils y consacrent une plus grande part de leurs revenus. Si on exclut les revenus des 4 plus grandes organisations du Canada, on constate que les petites et moyennes organisations amassent 25% des revenus totaux impliqués dans la coopération au développement au Canada. Les petites et moyennes organisations constituent le principal canal pour rejoindre les Canadiennes et les Canadiens, puisque ces organisations ont une présence directe dans plusieurs villes et communautés à travers le Canada. 40% des petites et moyennes organisations sont basées dans des provinces situées à l'ouest de l'Ontario. Et en Ontario et au Québec, les petites et moyennes organisations sont présentes dans des villes autres que les grands centres. Par exemple, à Lakossi, on regroupe des organismes dans 13 régions du Québec. Ce sont des pôles où les citoyennes et les citoyens se rejoignent pour poser des gestes de solidarité internationale. Les petites et moyennes organisations sont plus susceptibles de dépendre des dons directs des Canadiens et des Canadiennes. Donc, c'est la population locale qui les supporte par leurs dons et leur engagement aussi à titre bénévole. Les dons privés individuels comptent pour 67% des revenus chez les petites organisations, 44% pour les moyennes organisations, mais seulement 22% chez les grandes organisations. Alors, ça témoigne d'un support important par la population canadienne. Malgré ce fait, on se rend compte que les grandes organisations dominent l'accès au financement de l'ACDI et maintenant du MAECD et maintenant d'Affaires mondiales Canada. Il y a 60% des grandes organisations qui ont reçu du financement de la part de l'ACDI ou du MAECD en 2014. En revanche, seulement 1,8% des petites organisations et 17% des moyennes organisations en 2014. Les petites et moyennes organisations ont été affectées de façon beaucoup plus importante par la transition vers des nouveaux mécanismes de financement qui sont fondés exclusivement sur les appels de propositions mis en place en 2010. Alors, je vais vous parler plus maintenant de leur apport. On se rend compte, notre étude démontre très clairement que les petites et moyennes organisations sont plus directement impliquées dans les programmes en Afrique subsaharienne, qu'ils sont davantage concentrés dans les 25 pays prioritaires de l'aide publique au développement, qu'ils ont consacré beaucoup plus de ressources aux enjeux et prioritaires des objectifs du millénaire pour le développement, en droits humains particulièrement, et en renforcement de la société civile. Récemment, en 2015, Affaires mondiales Canada adoptait une politique sur les organisations de la société civile. Et dans cette politique, il reconnaissait cette force et la nécessité de soutenir les organismes de la société civile, peu importe leur taille, leur envergure, leur secteur et leur région. Nous avons analysé plus précisément 20 de ces organismes et nous avons mis en relief les rôles qu'ils jouent. Plus spécifiquement, on a déterminé 10 caractéristiques et compétences clés jouées par ces actrices du développement. Premièrement, elles sont souvent des organismes très spécialisés, peut-être davantage que les grandes, et ce qui leur amène une grande efficacité. Elles donnent accès à une expertise sectorielle. Elles travaillent beaucoup au transfert des connaissances et du développement des capacités par des partenariats de longue date. Elles sont aussi un levier important d'engagement du public et elles reflètent les principes de l'efficacité de l'aide et utilisent une gestion axée sur les résultats. Elles ont certainement aussi des engagements à long terme avec des partenaires variés et leurs résultats sont démontrés et durables. Dans ce contexte, nous pensons que l'occasion est bonne pour le nouveau gouvernement de reconnaître leur apport et de proposer un financement flexible qui pourra leur permettre de mieux développer leur action et que ça doit faire partie des politiques canadiennes de l'aide au développement. Alors, notre recherche est disponible sur nos sites web en français et en anglais et nous sommes heureux de la présenter aujourd'hui. Merci.
Merci, Madame Asselin. Thank you to Ms. Hamilton as well. My name is Kimberly Gibbons. I'm the Executive Director of the Ontario Council for International Cooperation. So I'd like to come into some of the points you might be asking yourself, why does this matter? One of the things that Madame Asselin was discussing was the trends in the funding that have impacted on small and medium-sized organizations, or SMOs. So there has been a major bias in funding changes towards large CSOs. Large organizations have dominated in accessing CEDA and DFAT-D funding. Amongst the 807 charities examined in the Revenue Canada dataset in this study, 60% of large organizations received CEDA and DFAT-D funding in 2014. By contrast, only 1.8% of small organizations, that's 11 out of 610, and 17% of medium-sized organizations, that's 23 out of 134, received funding from CEDA or DFAT-D in 2014. So there's a significant difference. Small and medium-sized organizations were dramatically affected in the changes towards an exclusive calls for proposals process and funding mechanism in 2010 as well. Some of the points that have come up in the study that are the contributions and characteristics of small and medium-sized organizations, I'd like to emphasize. There are 10 points, and that this independent evaluation has emphasized these are not exclusive only to small organizations or medium-sized organizations, but they are key competencies. So the first is on focus and specialization, that SMOs are highly specialized, perhaps even more so than large organizations, involved in different aspects of development cooperation. At least half of the evaluations pointed to the importance of specialization in terms of mandate, sector, or geographic locale. There's also access to sector expertise. Many SMOs, through their specialization, have well-developed institutional connections in Canada from which they draw often voluntary contributions of Canadian expertise for their overseas programs. There's also the transfer of knowledge and capacity development, that the increasing role that SMOs have in working with their counterparts in developing countries to do these things. A key piece for the provincial councils and in this study is the role of public engagement with Canadians. Given the presence of small and medium-sized organizations in all parts of the country, SMOs are uniquely positioned to implement Global Affairs Canada's policy commitment to work with civil society as a principal mechanism to engage Canadians and to raise awareness of and involvement in Canadians in international cooperation. Towards aid effectiveness principles, SMOs work consistently under the ODA Accountability Act and Canada's commitment to have a strong focus within their programming on the 25 priority countries for Canadian aid. They have wide experience in country ownership through partner-led multifaceted relationships with their counterparts. There's also long-term engagement with partners. Canadian CSOs have long-standing experience working in partnerships, and SMOs are no exception to this. They're also experienced in engaging in multi-stakeholder engagements and partnerships, show sustainability and results, and are flexible and adaptable to local conditions. I'd like to give one example of a small organization in Waterloo, Ontario, called World Accord, that works with a partner in Kathmandu, Nepal, called Women for Peace and Democracy. I had the opportunity to visit their program in December of 2015 with photojournalists to document the global partnership that they have working together to address the emergent needs that resulted as a result of the earthquake in Nepal in April of 2015, as well as looking at the long-term accompaniment work they do to empower women, rural remote women, Dalit women in rural communities. So some of the areas in this study that their work exemplifies is that on focus and specialization. They work on gender equality and women's rights. They work to empower women for peace and democracy, to allow women in the grassroots communities, and these are very remote and rural communities, to self-define what their interests are as they work towards microcredit to have long-term and sustainable development for their communities. Others relate to this issue of long-term engagement and accompaniment, that the priority of World Accord is to work with its partners to determine what their needs are on the ground. So I think this is a key thing that we witness all across the world in small communities, that there are many Canadians that are motivated to act in their communities that would like to support organizations in realizing their goals. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Tracy Wallace of the Northern Council for Global Cooperation, who will give another example of this.
Thanks, Kim. I just wanted to highlight an organization that is based out of the Yukon and is known across the north. The organization Little Footprints, Big Steps was established in Haiti after the earthquake of 2010 by a young Yukoner named Morgan Weinberg. Her organization operates 2 safe houses for boys and girls rescued from illegitimate orphanages and from the streets. They have reunited over 120 children with their families, with the organization, which the organization also helps with housing and training opportunities. Little Footprints recognizes the importance of public engagement with Canadians. They have made a significant impact on how Yukoners think of development and have deeply engaged Northerners on issues of child rights. Yukoners know exactly what happens to their money when they give to Little Footprints. 89% of their donations are used directly for program services for the children. Little Footprints also understands the significance of long-term engagement with local partners. They were invited by the local Haitian social services to join a network of child protection actors in Haiti. This is an exciting accomplishment and an indicator of their collaborative relationship with local authorities. Employees and even some youth of Little Footprints work with authorities in executing community training focused on prevention of violence and sexual abuse. There are other examples of small northern-based nonprofits, for example, Fair Aid, working in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Fish for Kenya, working directly with fish farmers in Kenya, and equally engaged in development. But I'll stop here, and I'll turn it over to Jennifer Sloot, the Executive Director of the Atlantic Council for International Cooperation, to provide her own example.
Good morning. Thank you, Tracy. In Atlantic Canada, most of the organizations that are doing international development work are either small or medium-sized organizations. And I'd like to give you an example today of a group called the Nova Scotia Gambia Association. The Nova Scotia Gambia Association was established in 1985 as a high school development project, and it has been operating for more than 30 years in the Gambia. Excuse me. Their revenues are less than $500,000 a year, but they've made a large impact in the Gambia. Their work is focused on health and youth education, emphasizing learning through active involvement. They use drama, theater, and radio and peer education techniques to build healthy communities. Nova Scotia Gambia's work has a geographic focus in this case, alongside of their respect for the culture and the direct involvement of Gambians in their organization. Nova Scotia Gambia has over time established trust to have easy access through many Indigenous networks and provides the organization with a degree of credibility with target audiences at the outset of their initiative. The Nova Scotia Gambia Association is interesting. The Gambia is a tiny African country, very similar in size to Nova Scotia. And very interestingly, when a Canadian travels to the Gambia and mentions that they come from Canada, instead of the usual question that follows, are you from Toronto or Vancouver or Ottawa, Gambians are more likely to say, oh, are you from Nova Scotia? Because of the respect of the work and the prolific nature of their reach across the country. Thank you. Janice Hamilton is going to conclude the press conference.
Thank you. So we hope that you've noticed that small and medium-sized organizations are playing a really key role in Canada's presence around the world and working with communities at the grassroots level all around the world. And I think we're really thrilled about this research. We're looking forward to the Prime Minister and his commitment to making the world a better place. As well, there's going to be consulting with Canadians about what Canada's role should be in the world in an international policy review, as well as, the funding mechanism. So we're really hopeful that small and medium-sized organizations will be recognized as actors in their own right and in doing credible work, and we're thrilled about this research because there is very little research done on small and medium-sized organizations. So I'd really like to thank you for your attention this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Take a picture. Oh, right, yes.
Of course. Someone's got their camera here?
Yep. And you send.
Will you send it?
Yeah.
No. I'll just keep it.
$20.